the couple part. After we are, falling in love, now it's official and we're a couple. And today I'm going to be talking about, hashtag couple goals. We see all over social media pictures of couples with the hashtag couple goals. And it's almost become this kind of like modern day keep up with the Jones. You see a lot of people who see that picture and then do it themselves, pose it that way themselves, and then post it. So it's almost like it's definitely a trend, and we look at that and we think that's something that we really want, or we want to show the world that we are a power couple, or a cutesy couple, or that we're best friends. So is it just about appearances though? Is it all about just creating this social media life and how we want the world to see us? Or is there something else, a deeper meaning behind those pictures that we are so envious and jealous of when we see of others, other people posting? So I have looked through a lot of the hashtag goal, or hashtag couple goals, and just looked a little bit deeper into what it is that people are really wanting, not just the pose, but what deeper meaning is there. So with the first one, we have a picture of people who are snuggling, usually wrapped up in each other's arms, napping on the couch, or in a tent, or in bed. And what is it about that picture that we want to emulate and copy? Is it just the pose, or is there something else? Well, when you think about it, when you are sleeping with someone, actually sleeping, and resting, it's another form of intimacy. It's a physical form of affection, like a hug, but what someone's looking for is a deeper connection and affection, not just something physical, but some affection. They want someone who will spend time, and it's another way of showing how much you love someone too, by cuddling up on the couch with them and spending the evening watching movies. It's a form of saying, I love you, you're important to me right now, and right now there's no one else in the world that I want to be with. So that's definitely, I would say, the meaning behind that pose. The second one is pictures of someone buying some stuff, or when someone's sick. So taking care of your partner when they're not feeling well. That's pretty self-explanatory. When we're not feeling well, it's nice to know that our partner is going to take care of us, whether it's just buying some soup and making sure that we're resting, getting some juice, making sure that have our favorite movies, and box of tissues, whatever it is that we need, that they're going to be there to take care of us when we are not feeling well. Everybody wants that in their relationship. They want someone who will take care of them when they are not feeling well. So number 3, road trips and making memories. And this is kind of fun, these cute little pictures of couples who are holding hands while they're driving in a car, or doing adventurous stuff like going camping or hiking. And that's another thing, is we want our partner to be adventurous. We want to go new places and try new things, have fun. We want them to be like a best friend to us, and try new things. It's also another level of intimacy to go out and try some new things. Definitely can help you deepen your bond with your partner. So 4, surprising your partner with something that's their favorite. Maybe it's their favorite, maybe it's a takeout from their favorite restaurant, or maybe it's their favorite flowers, or a game. I remember early on in my relationship with my husband, he would bring home my favorite candy bar once in a while when he was at the store. And it just makes you feel really loved. We all want our partner to, not just think of us on our birthdays or holidays, but also to think of us, when they're just going to the store and they thought, hey, I know my partner loves Cheetos, so I'm going to pick him up a little bag of Cheetos. It's just a sweet little gesture to let us know that they're thinking of us. So, number 5, leaning on each other through hard times. Life is definitely a cycle of ups and downs, and it's nice to know that our partner has our back when we are going through a really difficult, painful time, whether it's a death in the family, we lose a job, get in a fight with our very best friend, the loss of a pet. When we go through those hard times, it's nice to know that someone is going to be there and be our best friend and biggest supporter for when we are, going through really, really tough times. It's important to have someone who's always going to be there and support us and be emotionally supportive, who will let us, be vulnerable and cry and not shame us for feeling, sad about losing our job or trying to downplay it. So it's really important to have someone that is there for the good times and the bad times. Number 6, having a special place to hang out that's just yours. Me and my husband, when we first got together, we both had mornings off. So after taking the kids off to school, we would go up to a little breakfast restaurant, and it would just be the two of us. We never took the kids. It was our special place, so that we went where it was just us, and we never invited anybody else. It was like kind of like our little sacred space, a little tradition that we like to do. So I think it's important to have places or things that you do where it's just the two of you. It's kind of shows that you're willing to stay connected, and that you're putting each other as a top priority in your life, and willing to be each other's best friend. So, and number 7, the last one, being your authentic self. So we all have maybe something that we really, really like, but maybe we don't share it with the world. It might be some little weird thing where everyone else maybe judges us or looks at us like we're crazy. So it's good to have a partner who is going to accept us unconditionally and kind of love our little quirks and weird things that we like to do. We all want to be accepted and loved and not judged or shamed for liking something, especially if it's, we're not harming anybody or ourselves, and it's safe and it's not legal, then, what's the big deal? So it's really important, because then we feel like someone is really loving us and accepting us as we are, and not trying to change us or fit us into some mold. So those are the 7 things that are couple goals that can be expressed through pictures that we see that kind of make us jealous. But those are things that we can work towards and have in our own life. And you don't necessarily have to put it up on social media in order to be validated. You know, our reward is just making each other happy and fulfilling each other and just being supportive. So I hope you had fun watching this, and I will see you in our next video. Thank you. Bye.
Welcome back to Permaculture Relationships. I'm Daniel Morris Schwartz with offgridpermaculture.com, and today we're talking about the second phase of the 7 phases of love, which I consider to be, from a permaculture perspective, choosing the right zone. So if you didn't catch the last video, I'm just going to go over real quickly what I consider to be permaculture relationships and why they're important. A permaculture is the science and the study of nature as our basis for designing human systems. Right? And the goal of permaculture is to make permanent our agriculture and our human culture. And to me, one aspect of permaculture that gets is not talked about as much is the human relationship aspects in it. Specifically, in this case, romantic relationships, men and women. Type pair bonding, or if you're man, woman, whatever it is, but two people bonds are the basis of much of nature. Birds do it, animals do it, and humans do it. And so that's where we feel natural, that's where we feel comfortable. And of course, one of the key components of permaculture is using the patterns of nature as our guide to teach us about what works and what doesn't. And so I love this picture because it shows such a randomness, thousands of particles, water flowing all direction, rain, but out of it comes such beautiful and consistent patterns. And these patterns are just something that's in our world, how our world works. And so the science of permaculture is looking at these patterns, these natural patterns in nature, and saying, how can we use them to design an even better world? Because human beings are designers, and that's what we do. And so now we're in the phase 2 of relationships and designing a permaculture relationship, and putting our effort into building a proper, strong, and long living couple. And so the phase 2 of the 7 phases is coupling. And I think that the permaculture concept that fits most in with the second phase of coupling is the concept of zoning. So if you're not familiar, one of the things that permaculturists do to consciously develop a better, more reliable, more long-living agricultural system is to look at the plot of land that they're living on and to choose specific zones throughout it. And there's 2 ways that this happens. One is to look at the 0 through zone 5 type relationship, where you're putting things that are more commonly used closer to the living site, and then kind of radiating out from there to where the farther you get, the more natural and the more unmanaged that zone is. The other concept of zoning that gets put into permaculture is the idea of putting similar species in the natural living area that is appropriate to them, right? So you wouldn't put chickens in a garden, because the chickens are probably going to destroy just a general, kitchen garden. They're going to eat up the plants, they're going to peck too much, and they're going to not be beneficial to that ecosystem. Whereas chickens are great if you put them in an orchard, because they're eating the bugs, they're scratching, they're helping the soil with their manure. And so, what could have been a horrible situation, just by a little bit of forethought and planning, ends up being a beneficial situation for everyone involved. The chickens are living a great life, the animals and the trees in that area are benefited by the chickens being there, and we as the managers of this ecosystem are better off from it too. And this is applied to every organism in the system, every plant, every bug, if, as much as we can control it, every animal, every bit of livestock, and I believe we should apply it to human relationships. So traditionally, this concept comes up quite a bit in the older gender roles. 100 years ago, 200 years ago, men and women knew exactly what their role is, what their zone of the relationship and the day-to-day work that needs to get done was. There was men's work and women's work. And for men, that typically revolved around bringing in resources. They're the ones who left the house. They're the ones who went out and got stuff that was needed. They provide protection to the household, and they did much of the external outdoor facing work. They did the heavy work. That was, every society has a slightly different set of what things men do and women do, but there was very clearly defined men's roles. And there was very clearly defined areas where men were in charge, where it was raising the male children or deciding, who married who and that kind of stuff. And the point of it is not necessarily that those things were always the best, always the best segregated, but that it was clear in the relationship who was doing what. At the same time, women did have their domains of control. They managed the resources. They were in charge of nurturing. And in many cases, they're master of the home. If you look at, 50, 100 years ago, when there was a fight, it was the man who would leave the bed, would sleep on the couch or left the home or whatever it was, because the woman was in charge of the home. She decorated it and arranged it the way that she thought was appropriate. She raised the young children. There were certain areas where the woman was pretty much indisputably the master of that area, master of the home. So with modern couples, with permaculture couples, that work isn't really done for us. We're not inheriting anymore those traditional concepts of what men and women should do. Even if you did want to continue with that lifestyle, you would need to make very clear between both people in a relationship that that's exactly what you're doing. And so in order to set up a really strong long-term relationship at this phase, as we're building out a couple, you're becoming from two people in love, you're now forming this identity as two people as one thing. The relationship is now greater than the both of you. And so it's early on at this phase, it's really good to sit down and say, okay, who in this household is responsible for what? Who has the final say for what? How are important decisions made? And when is a decision final? Right. The worst thing that I see that happens in business and in relationships is this will never really be discussed, and it's kind of like, who's going to do the dishes? Well, whoever gets to it. Well, that ends up devolving down to a kind of chicken, where who can wait the longest and who can stand it the longest, and then it ends up being that one of the two people just do it all the time. And so these unexamined kind of behaviors emerge in any relationship, and if you're lucky, it ends up emerging in a way that's strong and that people are both happy with. And if you're unlucky, you end up getting, you end up separating because it doesn't work out, and both people aren't getting something out of the relationship. Stable relationships, both people in the relationship have to feel like they're better off in the relationship than if they were not. And so, in the realm of society that we're in, we have to be very clear about what our expectations are and what the relationship is going to be. And so I've outlined two methods that I would like to share about how you can kind of work through these issues with your partner. So one is the dream aspect. What really, what's the outcome of the relationship that you would be happy with? And so I would say take down the time to write down your dreams and your biggest fears, right? A successful relationship has to incorporate some of each person's dream while avoiding everybody's fears as much as possible. Then ask each other what would make you feel successful as a person and what would make you feel like a failure. Like, these are very key aspects to know. Otherwise, you're likely to run into the ditch on the side of the road and not go any farther because you didn't know that it was there. right? So we got to avoid failure, feeling like a failure as individuals in a couple, and we got to have a goal for success. And so a lot of times when people embark on this type of method, you're going to get a lot of answers that are like, well, I don't know, you know, I'm not sure, or really vague, kind of basic stuff. And what that indicates is that there is a lack of work that's been done on this, right? Everybody has dreams, everybody has fears, everybody has things that would make them feel successful or like a failure. If you don't know what it is, then you're driving with your eyes closed, with a blindfold on. What we need to do is be very clear about what these are, and so this could be an indication, if you don't know or your partners know, that there's a lot more work to be done in this realm. And the second one is role playing. Imagine yourselves in these different roles, possible roles that you could take in the relationship, and do it as real as you can make it. Make it a trial. For a month, we're all gonna, for a month, you're gonna do the dishes, and I'm gonna do this, and you're gonna do this role, and then see how it plays out. And set a moratorium on it, and then you can look and say, was that successful or not? Sometimes this has to be imagination, because you're not going to necessarily move to a new state or something that significant, but try to make it as real as possible. Even if you're not living together yet, I would recommend taking the time and maybe taking a vacation somewhere where you can stay together and being a husband and wife, or being a dedicated relationship where you're doing the roles that you anticipate taking before, and see if that's really, what changes need to be made to make this a successful long-term relationship. So be open to trying a lot of different things. Maybe 1 or 2 different arrangements is not enough, maybe 10, maybe 20. And then write them down, take stock, and see what really works the best for everybody. And this is a situation where both parties need to be very open and clear about what they want and what they're feeling, because you lying at this point to your partner, if you think it makes them feel better, is not going to be good for the long-term relationship. And you're probably opening yourself up to a lot more pain in the future, and them to a lot more pain in the future, than you've just been, truthful now. So lastly, when you're formulating these, role-playing situations, don't make everything perfect. Sometimes people say, well, we're going to live in a big house and have this and that. And, reality isn't always perfect. Things come up. So try to incorporate the bad times in this role playing as much as you incorporate the good times. Because when people are stressed out, when there's, you've got those fight or flight response in your body, people act differently than they do when they're having, enjoying it or in the early stages of a relationship. So if you can tease that out as much as possible, you're liable to set your relationship on a much stronger footing than if you hadn't done that. So this has been phase 2, choosing the right zone of permaculture relationships. I've got handouts with these techniques, the slides, and recordings of all the videos on offgridpermaculture.com/relationships. So go ahead and check that out if you're at all interested in this. And if you're watching this live, make sure you join us again tomorrow for phase 3 of permaculture relationships.
Well, online dating is one of the newest things that has transformed relationships in the world of the 21st century. I think many people have found fabulous partners through online dating, and it's just something that one needs to be very careful of, because people can hide behind a screen. And so when you do online dating, maybe talk back and forth quite a few times. If you're going to meet in a coffee shop, public place. I guess those are the things. Be safe with it. But be wild, explore this. It really is something that can bring into your life a new breath of fresh air, new possibility. So good luck with your online dating. It's something that we as 21st century citizens can luxuriate in. So when you're thinking of online dating, you want to make your profile somehow something quite special about who you really are, rather than any thing you'd like to be. It might be looking at who you want to attract. Be aware that what you want to attract will be also what you are yourself. So when you are talking about long-term relationship or short-term relationship, I think it's really best always to start with just friendship, that what you're looking for is friendship. And if anything grows out of that, that's something else. You can have really a wonderful time just meeting new friends and not having any big onus on this first meeting that you have. And you can enjoy people's company and discover different people, places, things in the world and styles of living without having to have a relationship beyond friendship. So that's my recommendation. Be friends, and then you can grow from there if it feels right. So good luck.
Dating and becoming a couple. I'm going to talk about 4 questions that we should ask ourselves before entering a relationship with someone. The first question is, are you looking for someone else to make you happy? A relationship will not make you happy. You cannot rely on others for your happiness. You must first do what you need to be happy on a soul level. When in a relationship and one person expects the other to satisfy all their needs and make all their insecurities and woes disappear, provide soul fulfillment, this can quickly turn into a state where one looks for happiness and fulfillment exclusively from that partner. Serious problems can arise when you realize that even though you are with someone, the feeling of dissatisfaction lingers. If you're already in a relationship, it's time to look within yourself to check and see if you have become emotionally dependent. Ask yourself, are you looking for a partner as a way to make yourself happy? Does it upset you if your partner doesn't act or respond in a particular way? Do you complain about others often? Is your relationship the center of your universe? Does your world fall apart when you and your partner do not do things together? If you answered yes to 2 or more of these questions, it may be a sign that you are depending on your relationship for happiness. It doesn't mean you're a bad person, but could be an indication that you need to make some changes. Start looking for happiness within you rather than from the outside. As people, we need to realize that other people are not things to fulfill our voids. Their job is not to make us happy. They may be struggling as well. Unfortunately, nobody prepares you for the soul-searching self-work that should be done before you can enter into a happy, healthy relationship. There's a lot of self-love work that can and will help you find the amazing person within to share with a partner in a lasting relationship. Being alone doesn't mean being lonely. There's a quote I remember reading a long time ago that said, "You'll never be lonely if you like the person you're alone with." And it has always stuck with me. I think this is vastly overlooked, but endlessly important point we need to make about relationships. You'll never be happy with someone else until you're happy by yourself. That's right. You must be happy with yourself first. The second question is, are you willing to connect on a deeper level? Some may ask, what do you mean a deeper level? You can't feel a connection with someone if you can't really talk to them. Do you feel a strong tie to the neighbor you chit-chat about the garden with? Probably not. But if you stop and learned about their personal life or beliefs, you'd be developing a relationship with them. Some relationships are casual and just require small talk. But if you're looking for a partner, you may want to make sure you take time to have a meaningful conversation and really get to know that person. That shows you value them. When you're with a potential partner, actually be with them. Be present. Don't be texting on your phone or paying attention to everything else going on around you. Focus on who you're with and what they're saying. They'll notice you're paying attention. They can energetically feel it. Then they will reciprocate, which makes the relationship better for both of you. We seek a deep connection with other people and the universe. The most fulfilling, loving relationship is one where two people are intimately connected with each other. The two individuals are separate but connected. It is our nature to be connected. If we do not feel connected, it is because something has happened to us to breach our awareness of the connection. A lot of couples go into therapy because they do not feel connected. The primary reason is usually because they did not experience it in childhood. This could go back to the first 18 months of life. Unhappy couples often have what we call a ruptured connection. In order to feel connected, it is important to feel safe. You cannot stay connected if there is a lot of negativity, fear of being abandoned, or fear of being overwhelmed. When couples first fall in love, they feel very connected because their subconscious stuff has not yet surfaced. When there is delicate attention, like at the beginning of a relationship, this brings a strong feeling of connection. Holding each other frequently creates a strong connection. Communication is a key in achieving a deeper connection, no matter where you are in the process of your relationship. The third question is, are you willing to trust? Let's look at what trust is. We all have a certain amount of trust every day. For example, I trust that I will have electricity so long as I pay my bill. Though trust and love are often confused. What is trust in a relationship? It is the ability to be totally real and authentic and unguarded with your partner. It means being able to bring all parts of yourself to your partner, good and bad, strong and weak, without fear of judgment or condemnation. It has to do with not needing to edit or color what you say or who you are, of fear of the reaction. Couples who have learned how to trust receive many benefits. They are able to connect on a deeper level. They desire to be with each other and want to give each other acknowledgement and recognition. They are able to have more passion, as passion can only develop with a safe and trusting connection. Trust forms the foundation of the love life you want to have. Let's look at 3 elements that, when present in the relationship, create an atmosphere of trust and safety. Risk, no trust. To develop trust, you will need to expand yourself out of your comfort zone and take a risk. Risk in a relationship involves exposing vulnerable parts of yourself to your partner. You will need to be able to share your thoughts, feelings, and experiences that are negative, painful, or fragile. This could include fears, hurts, mistakes, sins, and parts of yourself that you're ashamed of or wish you didn't have. Some risks are small, some are large. You may at some point need to say something to your partner that may feel very vulnerable. For example, I need you more than I would like to admit sometimes. I get scared that you will see all my flaws and judge me. I have a bad habit that I have been keeping from you. I spent that money in a way that we had agreed not to. When I said I was late because of traffic, it was really because I was hanging out with my friends. Some risks are small, some are large. You will need to determine how much risk you are willing to take to begin this journey in your connection. At some point, it is time to jump into the water and start swimming. Couples who refuse to risk because they are afraid of the consequences may feel like they are protecting the relationship. However, facts prove just the opposite, and your relationship will suffer greatly if it doesn't end. The final question we will touch on today is, do you know how to receive love? Receiving love can be challenging for some and come very natural for others. One may assume receiving is as easy as someone giving something to you. The reality is that regardless of whether or not someone gives something to us, we cannot always receive it. One reason we may not be capable of receiving love is you may not have been loved unconditionally. There may have always been conditions placed on the love given to you. The first step in learning to receive love is recognizing the barriers you have in receiving love. The number one barrier to receiving love is distrust of the motive of the love. You fear the consequences of letting down that guard that has kept you safe thus far. This, however, makes it so we do not recognize genuine love when it is offered. Instead, you may feel a sense of panic or vulnerability. People who can't receive love have an especially hard time with help. They don't ask for help, so in return, they do not get the help. Not because no help exists for them, but because they feel like the world is against them. They feel as if to get what they want, it will be an uphill struggle alone. This belief blinds them to even seeing help when it is offered to them. And on the off chance that they do see help being offered, they distrust it, thinking there is a dangerous anterior motive. They feel unworthy of help, or as if the help means that they are incapable. Tune in tomorrow as we talk about real love versus in love. I'm Wendy Johnson with Wendy Johnson's Life Coaching and St. Paul's Free University.
So how long do you date before becoming boyfriend and girlfriend? Coupling is all about transitioning from a dating relationship, getting to know each other better, to a more significant relationship, which is more exclusive in nature, where you're concentrating on each other to see if more depth and meaning is awaiting your relationship, and to discover more about our compatibility and potential of loving each other. So how long do you date before becoming boyfriend, girlfriend? And what does it mean to be in this next phase of love? Can friends become a couple? As you become a couple, you might ask, when should you move in with your significant other? Okay, you've met someone and you're hitting it off. You've had the time to evaluate each other and may have nothing in common, but you're attracted to each other. You found common ground. And while you have differences, you enjoy each other's company, and you could see this going forward. So how long do you date before becoming boyfriend and girlfriend? When you transition from getting to know each other to becoming a couple, you don't have it all figured out. You're just creating a sacred space to get to know each other better, and depending on your desires, you may want to enter into an agreement where exclusivity plays a part in this new phase of love. The coupling phase is not unlike two couplings of two train cars, which are joined together for a specific purpose, to get from here to there, and then to go to some other location, which may or may not be with the car you're initially joined to, as one car may be en route to an entirely different location. When you transition from acquaintance to a relationship where you're getting to know each other better, the whole dynamic changes. And quite often, there's an inclination to exclusivity. And you agree not to see other people while you're getting to know each other better. Now, there's a lot going on in this phase. And if you're not specific about where your intentions are focused, there can be miscommunication and misinterpretations, causing confusion and a bit of mayhem along the way. This can be a very sensitive phase for the partner who's more concerned with the possibility of moving forward into long-lasting love relationship. Yet, not taken so seriously by the casual dater, so it's important to remain cautious in this phase, and the one who's more casual may not be forthcoming of his or her true intentions regarding the potential for this relationship's potential future. So how long do you date before becoming boyfriend and girlfriend? Oh, when do you become boyfriend and girlfriend? Certainly not at the outset. Just because you're getting to know each other better. I mean, I remember when I was 6 years old and I wrote a love note to Tamara Watts. I drew a big heart on the paper and I wrote, "I love you. Do you love me?" Check one. Yes, no, maybe, you want to marry me. And if she replied at all, we would have been boyfriend and girlfriend on the playground and possibly even talked about getting married. But you're not 6 years old anymore. Today, you're not boyfriend and girlfriend unless you are in an exclusive relationship, which means you both agree not to see other people while you're getting to know each other better. If you've had this discussion and both agree to the terms of being boyfriend and girlfriend, because it means different things to different people, then you can say you're boyfriend and girlfriend. And remember this, the object of your affection will not be exclusive unless you've had this discussion and have agreed to the terms of it. Sometimes your desire to be with someone in a meaningful relationship can overshadow your sense of reason, and you can assume some of the parameters of your prospective relationship as if it were just understood. Then, when you find out that your boyfriend or girlfriend was seeing someone else, and the seeing could include anything to varying degrees of disapproval by you, but you have no right to be upset because you've not agreed to any terms considering those things. If you've had this talk and agreed to the terms, then okay, you do have a right to be upset. And maybe you've just discovered that your boyfriend or girlfriend is a scoundrel. Good thing you found out now before you started living together. The number one thing you want in a relationship, if you're normal, is trust. But you cannot impose trust on anyone who has not agreed to the terms. So the answer to how long do you date someone before becoming boyfriend, girlfriend is not a specific number of days, weeks, months, or even years. It's not until you've had the boyfriend, girlfriend discussion and have agreed to the terms of the potential deepening relationship. But we're such good friends. Can friends become a couple? I mean, you need to be with someone you can trust. And I've been attracting people who are less than trustworthy. But I can trust my friend. Shouldn't we consider becoming a couple? Let me offer you a warning. If you're attracting people who are not trustworthy, it will be unlikely that you can trust anyone who's attracted to you. If you can trust your friend, there exists the greatest chance that if you enter into a relationship with your friend, you will not be able to trust him or her. Why? Because the people you're attracting into your relationships are a perfect match for you and your vibration at that time. So if you're attracting people who can't be trusted, then you will keep attracting people who can't be trusted unless you change your vibration. And changing your vibration is a different subject. What about moving in? As you become a couple, you might ask, when should you move in with your significant other? Whoa, that's a whole new level, right? So you've got to have another talk. And this one's bigger than the boyfriend-girlfriend talk, because you can put up with a lot that you don't know about the intricacies about how your prospective partner is in the privacy of his own home or her own home. If you haven't broken up during the boyfriend-girlfriend stage, there's an increased chance of breakup following moving in with each other. But if you can survive the boyfriend-girlfriend stage, you're getting to know each other better and are building a trust one for the other. As your relationship grows, you're talking about cohabitation, and potentially you might be able to skip some of the less comfortable phases of love. Regardless of what phase of love you're in, there's hope for you. There's always hope. But you need to have these important conversations and spell out what your expectations are if you get agreement. Then you can expect to move forward. If not, well, good luck. I'm David M. Masters. You can find me at davidmmasters.com and check out my friends at St. Paul's Free University. Have a good day. Thanks for joining me.